All right, so this is a perfect time for us to conduct our 2023 award show and our 2024 prediction show. That's where we're going to be recording it on a Thursday, the first Thursday of 2024. No picks shows this week, and that's because the races suck. Would you concur, John?
I guess we just lost 3/4 of our listeners.
I'd like to make a pick in the Jerome.
Do you want to make a pick in the Jerome?
Yes.
Go right ahead, Chad. Chad is now going to make a pick in the Jerome Stakes, everybody. And this
I said I was picking it last week, so
there you go. Perfect. And this is one of two stakes races actually it's the only stakes race at Aqueduct this week.
It's not the only stake race at the Aqueduct. I'm actually in the other stake race at Aqueduct, but that's cool.
Well, they're not promoting it here. Is that the ladies?
Yes.
Oh, okay. They should put an S over there then. Okay.
Picking, drum roll, please.
3 to 5 shot. That's the name of the horse. Drum roll, please. Go ahead.
All right, Chad. Who do you like in the Jerome?
He just told you, drum roll, please, at 3 to 5.
Oh, I thought I was giving him a drum roll.
No.
Did you? Oh, come on. You did not pick a 3 to 5 shot.
Yeah, he did.
Come on now. Give me an exacta then at least. Come on. Give me somebody to pay off.
Take Brittany Russell in second.
Okay. What are the odds on Brittany Russell?
Does it matter? It's a 5-horse field.
No, I guess it doesn't. All right.
5-1.
Why do you like the favorite, by the way? Do you like this horse in general for any particular reason in the future?
It's the fastest horse in the race.
It's a good reason.
This is the road to the Triple Crown. He's the only one in the race with Derby points already, and this is the stepping stone to the rest of the season.
All right. That'll work for me. So we made sure that we lived up to our promotion from last week that Chad was going to make a pick in the Jerome Stakes, so it's in the books. There's actually only one other graded stakes race happening this week, and that is at Santa Anita. That's the San Vicente. It's a grade 2. Next week.
By the way, there are points in that race too. However, if Baffert wins, he's not getting any points.
Okay. The never-ending Bob Baffert penalty. Next week, January 13th, there are a bunch of races at Santa Anita, including the California Cup Derby and the California Cup Oaks. Are any of those races, Sunshine Millions, Philly, Mare, Turf Sprint, any of those races any good next week?
No.
No? All right, everybody, we're just giving you this heads up. We may not be talking next week either as far as picks, but we've got the 2 shows. This week, we're going to post the award show. Next week, we're going to post the prediction show. That means we do not have a pick show next week. We guarantee you the week after we'll make it up with an additional race. And the 20th does have some good racing. You've got 2 grade 3s at Fairgrounds. So I guess we'll probably be doing the Fairgrounds that week. You got the Louisiana Stakes and also the Lecomte. So those will be 2 of the impact races that we'll be talking about Fairgrounds on the 20th. So let's talk, though, about what we started this show with, and that is talking about our awards and our predictions. But we're going to get, first of all, into the awards for 2023. We have 2 new awards to give out this year. We didn't give out last year. Last year, we had a bunch of awards, and we're going to let you know what they were and how they related to this year. But the new awards this year, we have 2 of them. One's called the Motel 6 Award for the horse with the most miles. So, Chad, which horse do you think deserves credit for going out there and just busting her ass in 2023?
So the answer to that is one close to my heart, and that is a son of Mind Your Biscuits in Derma Sadagaki, who began his 3-year-old season in Japan, took his talents to Saudi Arabia, went over to Dubai. From Dubai, went to Kentucky, ran in the Kentucky Derby, came back to Japan, went back to Tokyo, flew back to California, and ended his year running second in the Breeders' Cup Classic. So my Motel 6 award goes to Derma Sadagaki.
Excellent. I like it.
I like it too. Make that mine also.
John's just. I'm gonna just keep replaying that one during the show. Like it. I like that one. Okay. Anyway, so there you go. Sadagaki.
How could you compete with that selection? He's right.
Okay.
Who did more miles than that horse? Nobody.
Literally.
Yes. All right. The second new award for this year is the most disappointing moment of 2023.
Go ahead, Chad. What was your most disappointing moment?
I'll go when Hissa was ruled that it's still around. So,
Yeah, that's an easy one, isn't it?
or we can also go with the 60-minute piece that came out promoting Hissa and hating on horse racing. So,
My most disappointing moment was when Chad came in second for president of the NPRA. That's my most disappointing moment because I voted for him and I stuffed the ballot box, but obviously not with enough ballots.
Well, that's terrible.
I'm joking. He came in second, but I didn't.
Well, that's terrible, though.
It is terrible because if anyone deserves it, it's Chad.
We could have had some real movement.
Nobody works harder for an unpaid position than me. I'm your guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still. I know, like you said before, a lot of stuff might not have. And even if you have that power, maybe not a lot could have taken place. I don't know what you would have gotten done, but I'm sure.
One thing, a lot more would have taken
Yes.
place with Chad in charge than not.
That is true. Yes. All right. So there you go. That's that is a good one. All right. Next up, let's go into the ones we had last year. Okay. Now let's flip it to best moment. Now, last year's best moment. Do you guys remember? John, you remember what your best moment that excited and satisfied you the most was last year?
I have no idea.
It's easy. Come on, man.
I'm gonna say that John said it was the Cyberknife winning the house.
There you go. Cyberknife.
Oh, okay. So I got something right?
Well, it's not. Yeah, it's not like a you don't get points for this. Chad, do you remember what your pick was?
No.
All right, Rosario Montanez.
Oh, winning his first race back off being injured. Yes.
Okay, so let's go to this year. John, best moment.
Best moment this year?
Yep, 2023. What excited you in 2023 the most? Satisfied you? Excited you?
I got to think about this. I don't know.
Chad, while he thinks.
The best moment of 2023 is going to have to be, unfortunately, it's a somber moment in hindsight.
Well,
You disappeared there again for a second.
I want my most disappointing moment.
Here comes Chad's back.
Pretty cool to see the bond that they have.
You disappeared while you were giving your award. So go through that again, Chad.
Chad, no one heard anything you had to say. That's the problem.
I guess people are calling Chad as we speak because he's disappeared again. Now he's back again. So go ahead, give us that award again, Chad.
It was somber. It's a somber best moment with the results that happened the next day. But Cody's Wish winning the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile for the second year in a row with young Cody Dortmund in attendance. He had flown out to California to support his namesake, and the horse comes and greets him in the winner's circle. And unfortunately, Cody would pass away the next day, tragically, flying back home from California. But I think everybody will kind of always have that memory, and hopefully his legacy will live on in Cody Wish's babies. And the whole story of Cody's Wish over the last few years and what it represented, and for me, of all the black eyes that horse racing receives on what seems to be a daily basis, having an uplifting story starting from the Make-A-Wish Foundation, the role that Godolphin played in it, to just the bond, the special bond that Cody and this horse had with each other, and that he seemed to run for this horse. Every time the horse saw the human, he would run faster and he would run harder and he would get victories. And it's just it was special, and I was glad to be there for that, and glad to be a part of it and just witness what that was all about. And kudos not only to the Cody family and to Godolphin, but to Bill Mott and his entire team over there. for allowing Cody to have all that access and going out of their way to Cody come the afternoon, 5 o'clock at night, and a lot of trainers are meticulous and they have a stead program and they don't really like this. So, Cody would come and they take him out, and sometimes Cody can be a little aggressive, and so you're worried about how he would handle it with a child, and his family's around. And for whatever reason, when Cody the horse saw Cody the human, his entire demeanor just changed, and he was a pony.
They knew.
Whereas in
He
the
knew. The horse knew.
he really
The
did.
horse,
I mean, I was blessed to share the barn with him in the Breeders' Cup, and you'd watch him on the day to day when Cody the human wasn't there, and he was all man. He was a colt and a good feeling horse, and uh, so you worry about how they're going to react, but horses are so smart, and seeing how Cody and Bill Mott and his whole staff were with Cody and the Dorman family, it was really remarkable to see.
Yeah, these are the types of stories that you would like to see out in the mainstream media.
well, there will be a movie made about it someday, and probably pretty soon. So,
Yeah.
All right, John.
yes, what? My most disappointing moment?
No, this is the most satisfying.
Oh. The most satisfying. Okay, I remember one.
Remember, Cyberknife was last year. So what do you
Yeah,
got
I
this
know.
year?
When a horse named Clapton won his first start for Chad, winning a stake race at Churchill Downs. That was very exciting. That was my highlight of the year.
So that was when it was Chad's first go around as the trainer for Clapton.
Yes, sir.
All right, that's a good one.
Thank you.
Next up, award for most important moment. What happened that was very important for the sport in 2023? Last year, you guys had the same answer, which was suspended HISA.
Yeah, well, they're back, so I don't know.
So, do you guys have any most important moments that you think happened for the sport that really mattered in 2023?
I mean, it's unfortunate. It's a continuation of 2022. I mean, HISA's, as Jonathan said, it's not going anywhere. It's still a lot of confusion on the rules and the way things go, and all that kind of stuff, and who pays for it and whatever. So it remains the most important thing, because we're still kind of you know a, stuck with how they want to do things. So I'm not going to change my answer, even though it's a full calendar year later. It remains just as confusing as it did the year before.
And the problem is, we'll probably have the same answer next year. So
That's not good. All right.
no, it really isn't.
All right. HISA still around. Next up, biggest controversy. Last year, same answer, HISA. So what do you got, guys? What do you guys have for 2023? What would be considered the biggest controversy in the sport this past year?
All right, so
Well,
it's still HISA, but I will add a second part to it. I think Jonathan will agree with me 100% on this, and we've seen this in other sports as well. But the stewards, the decisions or lack of decisions or lack of consistent decisions, and it's not just one racetrack; it's a lot of different racetracks on what goes on. We as horse people, whether you're a trainer, owner, jockey, whatever, or as a gambler, and Jonathan is both. We just want to know what's what constitutes a foul, what doesn't constitute a foul. Just keep it simple and let us, like you want like it's so funny because they'll show you the replay while the stewards are looking at it, and you still don't know what they're gonna do. And then I mean, you cap the year on December 16th here in New York, where a horse got disqualified. They refused to review the disqualification and then suspended the jockey for 3 days, and he had nothing to do with the situation.
That was the worst takedown, really. There are certain takedowns you remember your whole life, and this ranks up there with as bad as it gets.
So, I would you agree though that from controversy, I mean, the stewards
100%. They have no accountability to no one. They don't have to answer to anyone. It's horrible. I said it from the beginning, and I'll say it again. They should have a replay center like they do in other sports. Let it be in Kentucky, in New York, anywhere. The TV should be in black and white so that the stewards can't see the colors, so they don't know who the horses belong to. and let them make the call. This way, you have one group of people making the call. The same rules will be the same in every state. That's what I would do, but they'll never do it. But that makes sense.
Too easy.
Yep.
All right. So you're going to both agree with that? You don't have anything to have anything additional on that one?
Well, I'll add something that's going to destroy the game, but it has nothing to do with it. They have to do away with CAW, which is a computer-assisted wagering. A horse can't go in the gate, and the race starts off, and the horse is 6-1. And when he crosses the finish line, he pays $8. Nobody wants to expect to get $14 or $15 and get paid $8. That'll be the quickest destruction of the game, and they continue to do it just so they can increase handle. It's horrible.
Okay, so what is this called again?
CAW consists of computer assisted wagering. So it's kind of like insider trading. It'll take hours to explain it, but there's people that play with algorithms and they have an edge, and they get to fire off literally thousands of bets in seconds. And it affects the odds.
So in other words, like when you see, there's only like 30 seconds left for post time, and you see the horse is like at 8-1, they can put this computer generated.
They do it,
and then all of a sudden there's like so much money being bet on that horse that it brings it down to like 4-1 in 30 seconds.
Exactly.
We used to see this in smaller racetracks, and you go, "Well, the handle and this and that."
Right.
Now, 2 weeks ago, I'm at Gulfstream Park in the championship meet, and I like a horse of Safi Joseph going in the race in the gate for a stake race is 18-1, and going in the gate is 18-1. and went off at 8-1 and won the race.
So isn't that ridiculous? You're supposed to get $40 and you're getting $16.
That should happen. But the question is, and I don't follow it close enough, John, and maybe you do. The fixed odds that they've instituted at Monmouth, how has that gone? Have you paid attention to that much? I know obviously
most of the times the horses pay more than the fixed odds. They figured that out too. So
okay. So then that point is moved. Okay.
And not only that, they limit you there. You can only bet a certain amount of money, and it's not good either. No.
Okay.
Well, I even saw it last week. I forget which horse it was that and I was like, "Wow, he's 15-1. That's pretty good." And then all of a sudden, I'm looking, and like 5 minutes later, he's 8-1. 2 minutes later, he's back to like 11-1. 2 minutes later, he's back down to 7. I'm like, "What the hell is going on here?"
But Greg, at least you get to see that. The problem is when you bet a horse and the race goes off, and you're expecting. Chad bet 18-1. He gets 8-1. What are you, crazy? That's ridiculous.
That's almost like illegal. It should be illegal. So
so that's a quick recipe to destroy the game completely if they continue with it.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, love it. Those are good answers. Let's now move on to top analyst. Last year, Chad, your top analyst was Andy Bianconi.
Okay.
Biancone. Yeah.
From TVG. So who do you got this year?
This year we'll do it as a farewell, but as she said in her going away, this is see you later, not goodbye. We'll give the award this year to Brittany Yurton as she walked away from TVG. I think she's going to be doing some stuff with NBC. Nothing's come out yet officially as to what she's going to be doing. But I thought, look, she did a lot being a trainer's daughter. There's obviously a lot of pressure on you, coming in, and she came in at a very young age and really represented the sport well for what it was. A lot of emotional interviews, some cuss words said during Haskell interviews. But otherwise, I thought she did a very good job. So since we can't vote for her next year, I'll give the award this year to Brittany Yurt.
How do you spell her last name?
Eurton. Her father's a trainer, Peter.
Okay. John?
I'm going to go with Rich Perloff. He was the host on Mondays and Tuesdays on TVG. He did a great job. He worked there like for 20 years.
The thing with Rich Perloff, John, that a lot of times on those shows on TVG, there's a two-person desk.
Right.
And so you can feed off each other.
He did it solo.
There's a lot of times he was there manning the fort, only armed with whatever the few people that would comment into him on some random questions that they would have for him.
Yeah, and not only that, he did it for 6 and 7 hours on every Monday and Tuesday.
Wow.
Most of these guys have egos. You can look at certain people at night or whatever. They all pound their chest when they give out a $4 horse. He was not like that. He actually tried to help people and teach them ideas that he had in handicapping. And he was, he was a blue collar guy, and he did a great job. And he's retired, and that's who I would give it to.
All right, so a couple of former TVG analysts, Brittany Uriton and Rich Perloff.
Correct.
All right, we're cooking here. All right, now race of the year. Okay, so now this last year. Now it's not just the race of the year, but you're going to give me a couple of. You can give me anywhere from Actually, let's go ahead and do 3. Because we did 3 last year, a top 3, and then your best out of the 3 races of the year. Your top 3 races of the year and your favorite out of those 3. Last year, you both had the Classic, the Breeders' Cup Classic, as your favorite race of the year. Chad went with the Distaff and the Queen's Plate as the runner-ups, and John went with the Mile, the Dirt Mile, and the Pacific Classic as his runner-ups. So we'll start with Chad, your top 3 races of the year.
So we'll go with the Breeders' Cup Mile, even though it was kind of an international affair where the Philly Maj was run down at the wire by Charlie Appleby and Godolphin, but a very, very close and exciting finish, and with obviously the backdrop of the Breeders' Cup and everything else that kind of represented. We'll go with the other races of the year. We'll include in that. Let's see, where are we going to go? I'll go with the Travers, and I'll tell you why I'm going to go with the Travers. Because Arcangelo wasn't much the best winner. It was everyone had kind of showed up, right? We had, Mage was coming off the good Haskell, running second, and we had Forte was finally back. So I thought, everybody was kind of showed up in there, and Arcangelo proved that he earned that he was the best three-year-old kind of performance. And unfortunately, the third one, and I hate to do this, but I feel like I must. The third one for me is going to be that was a tragic race, and it's going to be the Test, which was
Maple Leaf Milk broke down.
Mischievous, but Maple Leaf Milk.
Was that was that the good horse that broke down right at the end?
Horse. Yeah.
Yeah, and so
Maple Leaf Milk.
It's not. I guess you don't want to use the word best race, obviously, with all the emotions and everything that happened. But what that horse was, what he represented to a young and up and coming trainer, and the job that she did on a horse that was named after her, and just how she had that horse just so ready to run. And I mean, it was a breathtaking performance, and I mean, everybody was so excited, and it was 5 yards from the wire where she got hurt, and it's a race that's going to stick with me the rest of my life. It's one that I'll never forget. And while unfortunately, it didn't have that Disney ending that it looked like it really was going to have. It was a big race, and it was a great race, and I mean, obviously marred in tragedy, but not to be forgotten of the performance of Maple Leaf Mel that day. She was amazing, outstanding. I mean, ran as good a race as anyone did this year, and I don't think that she's a filly that should be forgotten. I know she's going to get left. I'm looking at all these people sending in their Eclipse Award ballots, and I thought she should have been a finalist for at least Philly Sprinter of the Year or 3-year-old Filly of the Year. It doesn't look like anybody's remembered her, and nobody has her in their top 3. And
that's not true, Chad. David Aragon picked her third, I believe.
I didn't see that, but he also has Up to the Mark as his horse of the year.
He was.
He has Up to the Mark as his horse of the year, even though the horse ran like 3 times and never won the Breeders' Cup. That's fine. I think.
Well, that's good recognition, Chad.
Yeah, I think and a show like this where it's a review show where you look back on the year that was, I think Maple Leaf Mel was certainly a big part of it. And look, I mean that led to some things looked at and changed and whatever, and a review of track surfaces that continues to be ongoing with Churchill and New York and everything, and nobody's really been able to pinpoint exactly what happened or why it happens, and sometimes freak things happen, and it was nobody's fault. But I do want to just kind of give just kind of an air of distinction award, because I thought that horse was well prepared, well handled. She looked amazing in the paddock that day, and it's just a tragic ending to what was a beautiful race.
By the way, Chad, he female sprinter. He voted for Echo Zulu, Goodnight Olive, and Maple Leaf Mill. So
Okay, that's
he did.
nice.
And
Yeah.
and so Breeders' Cup
Well, that's
Mile.
not America's Horse of the Year, though.
Breeders'
Okay,
Cup
I
Mile.
agree with you.
Would the Breeders' Cup Mile then be your top race, Chad?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, John, give us your three.
Well, I guess Breeders' Cup Mile deserves to be the best. Breeders' Cup Classic was a great story. You had a guy that was suspended for 10 years and comes back and wins a $6 million race in his first year back. So that was pretty good. And Chad's right. Maple Leaf Mel does deserve certainly a mention somewhere, because people aren't going to remember her, unfortunately. And that's sad, because it was a great story.
All right.
And I mean, if it has to be off a win, her win the race before at Belmont was breathtaking. So I mean, if you're showing clips and highlights, you can certainly show the good before the test, because her win, I think it was in the victory ride, was outstanding.
That's a very classy selection, Chad. You're a classy guy.
Thank you, and that's classy of you to have Rick Dutrow second, even though he claimed the horse named after you.
That's all right. I doubt that he knew that we were connected, but who cares? That's fine. What am I going to do? Hold grudges?
Welcome to my life.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, favorite horse of the year / most respected. So this is a horse you either earned the most money on or that you just respected the most, or both. Last year, Chad went with Cyberknife and John went with Beverly Park.
I went with Beverly Park.
Yeah, Beverly Park must have won you a lot of money.
Oh, that was the horse that won every week.
Yeah, ran every week. Rich Burloff probably covered him every week.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. I'm just saying. Okay. You got me.
Chad?
All right, so I'll go with on our show. We've done well, and we had a good year last year overall. We picked a lot of winners. None was more exciting for me than getting the Kentucky Oaks right with Pretty Mischievous. It led to a very, very good payday for myself. We had a good Oaks Derby weekend. It would have been even better if we didn't lose on the wire in the Pate Mile, but that's spilled milk. So Pretty Mischievous was a filly that showed up time in and time again. We covered her on this show 5 or 6 different races. She's coming back again for 2024 campaign. So looking forward to that. And look, she's a filly that was a lunch pail filly that just kept getting better, and she got really good on the right day, winning the Kentucky Oaks. And I think she was a healthy. What was she, about 7 or 8 to 1? Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. So Pretty Mischievous, Kentucky Oaks. John?
What is this? My favorite race of the year?
Favorite horse that you either, again, it could have been maybe the horse made you a lot of money, or you just respected the horse for whatever reason.
Chad's going to love this one. I can't say it. So
Come on.
A horse named Mama's Gold that Chad trains, actually, that I think paid $49 the first time he won. And
the first time he won, he paid nothing.
No, not the first time he won for you.
Recently, yes.
Yes, the first time he won for you, he paid like $40-something. So I personally made a little score. So
okay,
that's my favorite horse of the year.
I like it. Mama's Gold, trained by Chad. All right, next up.
By the way, has now won 3 in a row and got beat a zap. Otherwise, it would be 4 in a row. So that's a terrific training job by a guy that doesn't get much credit.
Very good, Chad. Congratulations on that one.
Got a long way to go. The year's just starting.
That's right. Next up, long shot horse of the year. Give out a horse you either hit on with a long shot pick, which actually John just did.
I just did.
Yep. Or that you respected the most as a long shot, or both. So this is a long shot horse of the year. John pretty much got his pick in already. So Chad?
I mean, I don't want to give it to Mage winning the Kentucky Derby, even though for me he was the longest shot because I didn't think he had a chance. But I'll go with a personal story here. We started the show talking about that there is actually 2 stake races at Aqueduct this weekend, one of them being the Lady Stakes. So I got a filly in the spring named Rhea's Valentine, whose mother actually ran in the Kentucky Oaks. And she was every bit of a project when she came into us. She was in Dubai, and she wasn't able to make it to the races over there. And it was tough. And it was a lot of trial and error and trying to figure things out with her. And she broke her maiden last month in December. And she's actually running a stake race on Saturday. And there's a lot of pride in that and the work that my team has done to get her to this point, because not every horse is gifted to be a White Abario or a Pretty Mischievous or an Up to the Mark. These are horses that you work with day in and day out, and sometimes they get better in increments and steps, and they finally get a chance to even if it's only breaking their maiden, what it represents to the operation of the ownership group who own the mother and have 4 years of foals into the mother now and everything else. To see that horse cross the wire, it just hits a little bit differently than a normal horse.
And the name of the horse again, Chad?
Is Rhea Valentine.
Rhea, how do you spell that?
Rayya Valentine.
She's running Saturday.
She's on Saturday.
Valentine. And this is obviously, have you been training the horse for all her career?
Since she came to America in April.
Okay. Rhea Valentine on Saturday. Odds out for that race yet?
Yeah, she's 10-1.
10-1. What race?
The 8th race.
8th race at
I'm
Aqueduct.
not Chad gave out 2 horces for Saturday now. Keep that in mind.
No.
He's not. This isn't a pick.
Drum roll, please. I'm running Rhea's Valentine.
Well, we have 2 rooting interests for Saturday. How's that?
Okay.
If we were able to win, I would be over the moon. But
10-1.
just trying to be free if we can.
And this is at Aqueduct, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Next one. Let's go with most disappointing horse of the year. Last year, Chad went with Corniche, and John went with Epicenter. So, John, we'll start with you. Give us a most disappointing horse of 2023.
Every loser I bet was the most disappointing horse of the year for me, but I don't know. That's a tough one.
Chad, while John thinks.
Most disappointing horse of the year. Unfortunately, it's gonna fall on. I hate to say this because how is it disappointing when you win the Kentucky Derby? But Mage, who came in like a wrecking ball, Miley Cyrus style, didn't debut until Pegasus Day of his 3-year-old year. Nobody knew who he was. He runs second in the Florida Derby. He wins the Kentucky Derby. Connections roll the dice. Don't sell him right away after that. He bangs his head at Pimlico, runs a disappointing third in the Preakness, freshens up, second in the Haskell, no good in the Travers, and then is retired. And so it's tough to, like I said, in the terminology of this category, is he really disappointed? If you sit there and you tell somebody you're going to win second in the Haskell, third in the Preakness, second in Florida Derby, win the Derby, but for the excitement when you win the Derby, and this is kind of more of a long-standing one, to be honest with you, is that I saw a stat that was a crazy stat. I don't even remember it. The last time a Derby winner has won another race, you have to go back like 6 or 7 Derbies. It's been like 6 or 7 years.
Really?
in the same year?
Ever won another race.
Wow.
Like, if you look this up, I'm gonna go ahead.
Didn't,
You guys
didn't Epicenter win?
Epicenter didn't win the Derby.
But he got put up.
No, he didn't get put up. Rich Music won.
Yeah.
Actually, Security got taken down for Country House. Country House never won another race. Let me see if I can find this. The last time that won the Kentucky Derby has won. Not even like, all right, was a champion, whatever. Has won another race. Not Mage. Rich Strike never won again. Medina Spirit has since been disqualified, so that doesn't count.
No, that's who I was thinking. Medina Spirit, yeah.
Yeah. So Mandaloon, technically, he was put up in the Haskell, but never crossed the wire first again. Authentic. That was a different year though. Country House, no. Justify went on to win the Preakness. Belmont disappeared after that. Always Dreaming never won another race. I'm not sure that Nyquist after the Preakness won another race, or he actually lost Preakness. I'm not sure Nyquist won after the Derby. And American Pharaoh won the Grand Slam. But I mean, so you're talking about Mage, Rich Strike, whoever got put up for Medina Spirit. Authentic doesn't count because the Derby was years apart, whatever, in Country House. So we desperately need this year a Kentucky Derby winner to please just win another.
That'll help.
The problem is they retire most. Well, yeah, but yeah, you're right. It should have happened for sure.
It's been just a weird thing, and we always talk about the road to the Derby. It plays mind games on you. It's not easy to do.
Not only are they not winning the Preakness, but they're not winning at all. So,
I mean, everyone made the point, even at the Breeders' Cup, the only horse from the Derby that ran in the Breeders' Cup was Derma Sadagaki.
You're right.
Nobody even made the starting gate. So, I guess the moral of the story is maybe not disappointing horse, but disappointing race has to become the granddaddy of them all, to steal a line from the Rose Bowl. But the granddaddy of them all, the Kentucky Derby, has really been disappointing over the last 4 or 5 years. All
right, that's a good one.
That is a good one.
John, now you've had time to think about it. Most disappointing horse of the year.
I agree with Chad.
No, I don't agree with Chad. I don't know. I mean, there's just so many.
Well, throw one out there.
Okay, Fort Bragg losing on Derby Day. For both Chad and myself.
It cost us a lot of money that day.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
The pick 5 was paying $57,000
for 50 cents.
And we ran second. So
and was he a favorite?
No. What was he, like 3-1, Chad? 7-2?
I don't know. I was rooting for Kangaroo Court, who took all the money and was nowhere.
All right, that's good enough. Fort Bragg it is for John. Next up, the Apprentice of the Year. You guys both went with Jose Gomez last year.
Were we right? Who won?
Yeah, I think he won.
Oh, he did? Okay, good.
All right.
Go ahead, Chad.
So, I'm just going to pick the one that's going to win the Eclipse Award, whether or not he's the Apprentice or is irrelevant. Axel Concepcion, off his 42-day suspension in Delaware, has come back riding like a bat out of hell at Turfway. He's winning 2 or 3 races every day. So I guess by proxy, he becomes Apprentice of the Year. I will say this, in looking back on the year, in New York for a while, what was that kid's name that came in winning everything for a little while? Now he's at Oaklawn. Or now he's at Fairgrounds. He went to Oaklawn for Lucas in the fall. I forget his name, but he was winning everything.
You never forget anything. Not Louis Rivera. He's there riding now.
He's there now.
By the way, how is Jose Gomez doing?
He's good. He's a journeyman now. He's riding. Angel Cordero has his book, so he's getting plenty of mounts.
Okay, John.
My selection will be Sophia
Torres. That was his name. Torres.
Which Torres?
Jay Torres.
Jay Torres? Okay. I'm going with Sophia Vives. Vives.
Hey, she was unique because she was the first person I've ever seen that was making the Woodbine Parks double. That was her kind of routine. On the dark days, she'd go to Parks, and then she'd go back to Woodbine.
That's what impressed me about her.
She was like playing for the Blue Jays.
Yeah.
Okay. Sophia Vives. And Concepcion, what's his first name?
Axel.
Maxell? Okay.
Axel. Like
Axel
from
Foley.
Beverly
like
Hills.
Axel Foley.
Axel
Beverly Hills
Foley.
Cop 4 is coming out soon on Netflix. Everybody make sure you tune in.
What's that?
Beverly Hills Cop 4, Axel
Oh,
F is
please
coming out on
don't.
Netflix soon.
No more.
I can't
Jockey
wait.
of the Year. Last year, Chad went with Flavian Pratt. John went with Joel Rosario. Jockey of the Year. John, can you take this one first?
Yeah, I'll take this one first. He didn't win the most races. Listen, if you're going to look at stats only, obviously Irad Ortiz is going to win it. He won 15 grade ones and $39 million or whatever in purses.
You know the thing, hold on real quick, John. The thing that's amazing about Irad Ortiz that he doesn't get enough credit for, which is the first time I think anybody's ever said this about Irad in the last 5 years, doesn't get enough credit. He's led the nation in wins the last 5 years. And when you win the amount of money that he wins, sometimes you don't have that hunger. You pick and choose your spots. You go out of town.
Right,
you follow the money. Jerry Bailey forever, for the last 8 years of his career, would maybe have the most amount of money earned in purses, but never came close in wins. Irad Ortiz will ride a $3 million race and then will ride one for $62.50 the very next race with just as much vigor. So I will give Irad credit from that standpoint that he leads the colony in wins, not just purses and grade ones and everything else.
Okay, so that's the obvious answer, but that's not my answer. My answer is going to be Javier Castellano. He won 2/3 of the Triple Crown. He had a run there. He won with Arcangelo, and he also won, I think, the Travers. He won 2/3 of the Triple Crown races. He won the Peter Pan.
Secretariat, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think he had an unbelievable year, and not only that, it kind of rejuvenated his career because people thought he was on the back end, the back end of his career. But he had quite a year, and he won a lot of big races, and he doesn't get enough credit, and I'm giving him the credit.
He won the Travers for the 7th time, by the way. Winning Arcangelo and choosing correctly.
Yes, I thought he was crazy. I said, "How could you not pick Madge?" But he was 100% right, and
the thing that he takes the most pride in, look, his kids are older now. They're in school. Winning the Kentucky Derby for him, and he's won all these big races before, but not the Derby. Winning the Derby for him meant everything.
Yeah.
He went out and he went to his son's show and tell class and told them about winning the Kentucky Derby and everything else. So really, really cool for Javier.
Yeah, I just thought he was a great story. That's why he's my top selection.
All right. That's a really good one, John. We're
Thank
smoking
you.
here. So, Chad?
Well, I joked with Tyler Gaffleone yesterday. I said, this year when they have the Eclipse Award ballot, you're going to be on the podium because I think he'll run third. Next year, you got to take down the title. So with that being said, we'll put Tyler third. We'll put Irad second because he wins it every year. This is like why LeBron doesn't win the title every year. I'll go with John and go with Javier Castellano.
Yeah, Chad matched me once. All right.
There you go. All right, next up, Trainer of the Year. Last year, you guys remember which trainer you picked last year, guys?
Brad Cox? I don't know. Who did we take?
You took Mr. Sadler.
Rex?
Sadler?
Yep, you both went with John Sadler.
Okay, well, I'm going with Mott this year. I think Mott, who doesn't, again, win as many races as other guys, but he did an unbelievable job between Elite Power and Cody's Wish and Casa Creed. I can go through the whole list. He doesn't do it sexy. He doesn't do it fancy. He's not a loudmouth. He sticks to his work, and he's a terrific trainer, and he kind of flies under the radar, even though he has horses that are really good. But if you walk up to people on the street and you ask who Bob Baffert is, they all know. But you ask who Bill Mott is, not too many people are going to know. I'm picking him.
And the year started, by the way. The year started with him winning the Pegasus with a horse that everyone thought was retired in Art Collector. And it's just kind of kept going from there. And look, managing the careers of Elite Power, who ran in Saudi Arabia in front of his home crowd over there, and then bringing them back to win the Breeders' Cup. Cody's Wish winning the Breeders' Cup for back-to-back years. Just FYI, winning the Breeders' Cup as a 2-year filly, just kind of adding that into the mix. all while doing this, while um, grand his first granddaughter is having a horrible disease with brain tumor at 2 years old, having to deal with that kind of situation and be strong for his son Riley, who just took out his trainer's license himself, who was his right hand, who's been his assistant with him for so long now, kind of hanging out his own shingle, having surgery, I think, on a hip. It was so painful he couldn't even get on his pony over the summertime. And like you said, not a peep about any of that, and just show up every day and go to work.
So you agree with me again, Chad?
Agree with you again.
All right. Wow. Check this out. Next up. Oh, speaking of FYI, I might as well FYI that there is no way we're going to do the prediction show today. So,
good.
Just to let you know, we'll be doing that next week. All right.
Is this the wrap? Are we done?
No, we got 3. We still have the last 4 to go. We've got the barn/stable of the year. Chad went with Godolphin Racing last year, and John decided to pass. So, Chad, what are you going to do this year? The barn stable of 2023.
As much as things change, as much as they remain the same. Godolphin. I mean, add in Pretty Mischievous, Cody's Wish,
all of them.
The Mike Stidham horse, the Proxy. I mean,
and they got horses with everybody. They don't have horses with one trainer. They spread it around, and they all do well with their horses.
First Mission, coming over with Charlie Appleby, winning some races with Charlie Appleby,
yeah.
with Saeed bin Suror as well, coming over and winning with Maj. So, I mean, their operation, no offense to the musician Pitbull, but Godolphin really should be known as Mr. Worldwide.
John, you concur, or you just pass again?
No, I concur. I agree.
Okay. All right. Next up, one of 3 remaining, and this is going to be. So actually, these are horse of the year. The last 3 are all horse of the year categories. So the first one is filly. All right. Now, it's just like we had for race of the year. You give us your top 3 fillies, and then, of course, your top. Last year, Chad went with Malathat as his top, with Clairiere and Nest as the runner-ups. And John just decided to go with Malathat and said, screw it with the rest. So
I think Pretty Mischievous is going to win it this year. That's my selection, my one and only selection.
Pretty Mischievous for John. Chad, do you have 3 for us?
This is 3-year-old filly or total filly?
I thought he's a 3-year-old.
No, this is just filly of the year.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. I'll still stick with Pretty Mischievous. It's easy enough.
Yeah.
I'll put Goodnight Olive in there, even though, ironically, I think Echo Zulu is a faster filly. Goodnight Olive was able to see out the year and won the Breeders' Cup, albeit without Echo Zulu. The race she lost, I'm not going to go back and change my thing for races of the year, but the tag team work of Tyler Gaffleone and Flavian Pratt that cost Goodnight Olive the victory on Derby Day was pretty fantastic, because it looked like a NASCAR race, where they have teams based on whatever your thing is, and they kind of have strategies, and they'll keep somebody boxed in. You don't really see it in horse racing other than Irad and Jose tag team efforts. But the way that it was done over there, and then for Irad to get his revenge in the very next race, and with the ecstatic fist bump when he beat Tyler on the wire, the next race was pretty cool on Derby Day. Anyway, just things flood back to you sometimes. Sorry to get off tangent. Pretty Mischievous was a good filly. Goodnight Olive, Echo Zulu, unfortunately getting hurt. She had probably the best performance of any filly all year. Was her victory in Saratoga. Both her victories in Saratoga. They were, absolutely mind-blowing. So I'll go out of the box. She won't win the Eclipse Award at all, but I'll go with Echo Zulu as filly of the year, because her 2 races at Saratoga, and even you go the one before that at Churchill or Ellis or wherever the heck it was when that was transiting over, she was awesome this last year, and it's one of those things where when you give MVP out in a sport, do you give it to the one that has the best stats or is on the best team or the best freaky performances? And Echo Zulu had the best freaky performances, so I'll give it to Echo Zulu. I'll stand alone on an island. I'm used to that, but I'll make Echo Zulu my filly of the year, filly mare of the year.
All right. You both have Pretty Mischievous in there, and Chad went also with Goodnight Olive. But John's top and only pick is Pretty Mischievous. Chad is going with Echo Zulu. Those are the top fillies of the year for Chad and John. Now let's go to male 3-year-old. Same thing, top 3 in winter. Last year, John went with Cyberknife, Epicenter, and Taiba. And Chad, for some reason, just used one 3-year-old, and that was Epicenter.
I'm going with one again. I'm going with Arcangelo. He won the Belmont and the Travers. I don't think any other 3-year-old could say that this year. So that's
All right, I'm changing my vote, by the way. Thank you, John. Thank you, guys. I'm changing my vote on most disappointing horse because I don't. It's not fair to Mage. He actually had a good year, just disappointing ending.
Okay.
The most disappointing horse of the year is Taiba. Bar none. Bar none. He went from winning the Malibu last year and could have been anything, breakout star, horse of the year, son of gunrunner, this and that. He freaked out behind the gates 2 days before the Saudi Cup, never ran again. Disappeared for 3 months. They kept trying to get him back.
He's breeding. They're breeding him, aren't they?
Yes, but as a racehorse.
Yeah. You're right. You're right.
This race in the Saudi Cup, he was nowhere that day. Absolutely nowhere as the big favorite. And so for me, he's the most disappointing horse of the year. I go with Taiba's most disappointing. 3-year-old, it's very, very simple. It's your finalists are Arcangelo. Your finalists are Forte, and your finalist is Instant Coffee. And at the end of the day, we're gonna go with Arcangelo. He's a famous situation of not breaking his maiden in time to run in the Kentucky Derby. Can't hold that against him. After that, went on an absolute tear. And I give a lot of credit to Jonathan and Jake and the guys at the sheets, because when that horse broke his maiden at Gulfstream in the spring in April and got a 5 on the sheets, I said, what are these guys smoking? And then you watch the replay and you watch the horse and you go, nah, they're probably right. Now, I don't think he ever ran a 5 again the rest of his career, but he went on and he won the Peter Pan over a nice Brad Cox horse, won the Belmont Stakes, beautifully managed going into the Travers. I didn't think that he'd be able to do that off that layoff against that field, but he did. Won the Travers and unfortunately had to be retired thanks to Hissa and the team of 48 veterinarians at Breeders' Cup that didn't let him run. So we never saw him in the Breeders' Cup, which I think, despite his issue, he probably would have won the Breeders' Cup last year, to be honest with you.
So you both agree with Arcangelo as 3-year-old horse, male horse of the year. Okay. And lastly, horse of the year. Top 3 in winter. Last year, you guys both went, of course, with one of the best ever, Flightline. And you both also went with Life is Good and Olympiad as runner-ups. So, horse of the year.
Well, I could tell you that the horse that's going to win it off the stats doesn't deserve it. I know they're going to give it to Cody's Wish. I just know they are. Even though he was 17th in the country in earnings, but it's just the story, and it's not always the stats. So he did a lot for the game, and he was good for the game. He brought people. It was a story of interest. And again, they're going to make a movie. It's only a matter of time. And for that reason, they are going to make him Horse of the Year.
Is he in your top 3?
No, but who should get it then?
Well, who should get it and who's going to get it are different things.
Yeah,
I don't know who should get it.
Horse of the Year.
Yeah, well, our Horse of the Year?
Yes, we don't care about what they're giving out.
Yeah, well, that's true. I don't know. I don't know.
Chad, who do you know?
I'll go with Cody's Wish just to make it interesting.
So here's my thing, and this is why I disagree with John that Cody's Wish shouldn't get it, because I think he really should.
Okay.
Look, winning the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile isn't sexy. And that's what falls into this problem here. If his last race when he won by a hard fought neck and wins the Breeders' Cup Classic, I think John says absolutely he's your horse of the year. But he ends up 17th because he's in these mid range distances and things like that aren't the same. But if you look at his year, okay, and you just take his year at a snapshot, he wins the Grade 1 Churchill Downs Stakes on Kentucky Derby Day in front of the massive crowd. First start back off the Breeders' Cup with a ton of pressure on you. He gallops. Then he goes to the Met Mile, which is historically always been a stallion-making race, great race, good field. He destroys them in the Met Mile. That might have been his best race of the entire year, to be honest with you. They hem and haw what they're going to do, where they're going to go next. They want to separate him and Elite Power. They don't want them to run against each other. He stretches him out in the Whitney. And here's my thing. This is the only race he loses all year. And he was a bad third that day behind White Barrio. I get it. White Barrio won.
Well, he wanted no part of 2 turns.
Correct. And I think so. That's the thing where you give him a little bit of a mulligan and respect the connections for trying to stretch out and run in there, because too often now people get in a comfort zone and they don't try new things. So I don't want to hold it against him that he ran in the Whitney, which is, again, a historic race. Comes back, runs in the Vosburg, which should be a Grade 1, used to be a Grade 1. Now looks like a glorified money allowance, but wins the Vosburg, albeit not impressively, but wins the Vosburg, and then comes out and does his job and wins the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. He has 1 loss on the year at a distance that he doesn't want to do, going 2 turns. I have no problem at all. Yes, the story. Yes, he's going to win the Horse of the Year. Yes, he should win Horse of the Year. Because for me, he's got 5 wins from 6 starts, including some of the biggest races in the country. And people want to give it to White Barrio. White Barrio won 2 races last year. That's it.
I wouldn't give it to White Barrio. White Barrio just had 2 good months out of the whole year.
That's what I'm saying. So in the grand scheme of things, in what was overall a competitive year of horse racing, there was a lot of ups and downs throughout it. We were blessed and proud to bring you guys as much of it as we could. At the end of the day, the horse consistently that showed up time and time again was Cody's Wish, and for that, he's my horse of the year.
All right.
You convinced me, Chad. Chad's right. I'm wrong. Go ahead.
Well, that's why I'm the two-time runner-up in the president election of NYPA.
Runner-ups. Speaking of runner-up to 2 runner-ups to Cody's Wish, Chad.
I'll go Arcangelo. Right, anytime there's a 3-year-old champion, he deserves to be on that podium. So we'll put him on that ballot as well. And then our third horse for Horse of the Year, we will put in there.
Could it be a filly?
Could be anything.
No, that's what I'm saying. Could it be a filly, Chad?
Since nobody ever follows the rules, I'm not going to follow the rules either. And I'm going to put Equinox on the list. And he won't win because he never ran in America. But he was the best horse in the world. It's not even close. And just for that reason, and that reason alone, I put Equinox in my top 3.
Well, actually, I was going to save, before I close that, I was going to say that we should have another new award, because I was going to ask you about that. Since you had Equinox, you talked about that last year. So we can pretty much use that as an award itself just for Chad, since he knows horses all over the world. So you're going to go ahead and say Equinox is Horse of the Year?
Yeah, not even close.
World.
Horse of the World, Horse of the World of World of the Year, or however
World
you
of
want to
the
put
Horse or whatever. Yeah, Equinox. Okay. So what's
his race in Dubai? His race in Dubai when he won the SEMA Classic. I think 5 horses came out of that race in one group once, and he destroyed them. He won by 5 lengths, and he was geared down. He set a world record later on in the year in Japan. He set a world record at a mile and a quarter, whatever it was, 155, something absolutely ridiculous, and ends his career going against a filly that won the Japanese Triple Crown and played with her as well. I mean, horses like this don't come around.
So why don't we just make Equinox the Horse of the Year?
But that's for the world. So
that's fine. That's fine.
So give me another runner-up for the United States. Cody Wish, Arcangelo, and
how about Elite Power, Chad?
Sure, Elite Power.
All right.
There you go.
There you go. So there are the awards.
I don't know though if we can actually have. We have to get blessed from the commissioner, the self-imposed commissioner here, Mike Rapoli. If we can have a Horse of the Year or finalist, and we left off a Rapoli horse, there has to be some kind of a Rapoli horse listed here to make everything.
What's a Rapoli horse?
He's an owner, Mike Rapoli. He owned Forte. He owns about 1,000,000 horses. Other
Oh.
than that, it's all fine.
Okay. Well,
Next year we have
did
to
talk
wear
about Forte.
tuxedos. Next year, why do we not have to wear tuxedos to this award dinner like everyone
I have a
else?
hard enough time getting this show on the air with you guys. Now you're going to put on a tuxedo? Sure, we can do that.
You know what's funny? We've done this show for like 2 years now. You and Greg and John have done this for 10 years. I've seen that R. Rutgers behind Greg's back for a long time.
And he
This
won't
is the
fix the
first
Michigan.
time. This
He
is
won't
the
fix the
first
Michigan
time,
sign.
hey, the first time I've seen the Michigan sign. As soon as they finally
Get
win
out of here.
for the first time in forever.
No, it's always been there, and it's always been sideways. Why doesn't he straighten it
It's
out?
not always been there. I just bought these things 2 weeks ago.
Ah,
Remember, I've always been
Stealing
on
signs.
green screen.
It's
Right.
okay. He's stealing signs. It's
Yeah.
okay. We
It's
get
okay.
That's
that.
okay.
No problem.
No.
he's stealing signs,
Hey,
literally.
by the way, they have not won the
That
championship
was a
yet.
good one, Chad. Hello.
What did
They
he
have
say?
not won the championship yet. So
Even if they win the championship, they listen. If this is the Stewards in New York, they can win the championship and they'll get stripped of the title. Doesn't matter.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, Bill
Just because
Belichick.
they self-imposed suspended their coach 6 games doesn't make it okay.
Bill Belichick also got slapped in the face for Spygate. What happened the very next year after he got suspended?
Tom Brady got mad.
They went undefeated until the Super Bowl and
Yeah.
lost the Super Bowl as an undefeated team.
Oh, so you're predicting that Michigan's going to lose the championship game?
They could. They
That guy's
could.
going to make a catch. Who was the guy on the Giants that made that catch?
David Beckham.
No, what
Okay.
the heck?
David Tyree, maybe?
Yeah, that's the guy with the hand, with the football. It stuck to his helmet or some shit.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Some freaky, that's what the Giants did to the Patriots twice.
Yeah.
So-
Which is the guy on the University of Washington that's going to make that catch, Greg?
Dunze, top 10 pick. So
That's
yeah,
another show
trust
for
me,
another
man.
time.
I don't have a lot of champions. So 40 years watching sports, and I've only had one professional team win a championship. One,
Who?
the Washington Nationals, a couple years ago. That's
There
it.
are actually Washington National fans out there?
I grew up as a Montreal Expo fan.
Oh, so you moved? Okay.
Well, they moved. So
Yeah,
I moved with them. Yeah.
All right, guys.
Yes, great job. Next week we are going to do our predictions. It's going to be a lot smaller, so not as many questions. So we might be able to, again, if we have a pick show, that all depends on how the races look, especially at Santa Anita, which looks like the only track that we're probably going to have a run at for next week. But we will definitely have
Why don't
picks.
we wait to see the entries before you? I mean, you can
I know
do
I'm
that.
giving a bad luck.
All right.
Yeah.
Or film early since I'll be in the air for 15 hours heading to Dubai next Thursday.
Yeah.
That's
When is
cool.
your schedule? When are you leaving?
Thursday?
Yeah.
So yeah, we definitely need to do that, and let's get that in the books for sure as soon as we can. We can do that any day next week.
Yeah, we could do exactly
Yeah.
Monday or Tuesday. One of you aren't you going to be in Florida, Chad?
Yeah. That doesn't-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's pick a day. We could even do it on Monday or Tuesday if you guys want.
Whatever. It's up to Chad. We work around him.
All right, I'll send
He's
out an
the star
email.
of the show, so we have to make sure he's available.
Well,
All right, guys.
send out a text and we'll figure it out.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Bye.
And thanks to everybody out there watching here. Obviously, we're going to post this on YouTube as well, so we can get as much traction as possible. And then we'll be back next week for the award, for the prediction show for 2024, and just a little bit of a tidbit preview on some of the questions. Let's see. Let me get some good questions here. Which 2-year-old male or filly will have a breakthrough? Top 3 for early horse of the year. Let's see who will be jockey of the year, et cetera, et cetera. So those are the predictions that are going to be lined up, or the questions for predictions made by John and Chad on next week's show. Thanks for tuning in here on our show once again for Horsepower on the YouTube channel. Please don't forget to subscribe, like and share, and let us know what's on your mind as well. And of course, check out our Patreon page, because that's when whenever we have our picks, that's where you're going to be able to watch all of our programs for $5 a month. $5 a month. Check out the Patreon page. Check on the link in the description area, and you will not be sorry. We'll see you guys again next week.